Hey guys, thanks for tuning in today. Today is episode 1. We're talking about how healing is not a performative act. We're talking a little bit about the failed startup, where I've been for the last few years, and what to expect from the podcast going forward. Stay tuned. What's up, guys? Welcome to the podcast, season 1, episode 1. These first 10 episodes are the building block series. So I wanted to just start out and address why I've been absent on social media right away. That's going to be podcast 1. It's going to be super authentic. I don't really have a script. I got some notes here that we're going to look at, but that's it. And the reason I've been absent from social media is because for the last 4 years, life has just been kicking the shit out of me, and it's been hard. And if there's anything that I've learned, it's that healing is not a performative act. Healing is something that happens internally, and it's not something that's not a meme that you post. It's not an inspirational quote. It's not a podcast that you retweet. It's not a course that you build and sell. Healing is something that happens inside of you, and then everything else will start to work itself out. And for a while, every time I posted on social media, it felt like I was giving a performance. It felt like I was trying to prove to other people that I was, bouncing back and all of that stuff. And it just wasn't real. And every time I posted, somebody would shoot me an angry text message or an angry call or an angry email about somebody that got caught up in all the stuff with my last startup. And I would just become that emotion for days. It would eat me alive. And that is not the way that healthy people operate. Healthy people, when they have emotions, they just notice them. They notice them, and then they process those emotions. They figure out why they feel that way, and then they move on. And that is something that I'm probably just now getting to the point of. And I'm not saying that I'm fully healed. That is not the purpose of this podcast. That is the purpose of this podcast, is to put all this information out there authentically and just tell you about my journey. Because if somebody else is going through it, I don't want them to feel alone. I was told that don't start a podcast unless if one person heard it and got value from it, you would be super happy. And so I went through a lot of podcast ideas, and this is the one that I was like, all right, if one person felt the way I felt and they feel alone and they just know that somebody else has been through something similar, then this is worth it to me. And so that's what we're doing. And so if that one person is out there, I hope they're hearing this. A lot of people never go through a tragedy so big that they have to literally kill a version of themselves to move on. And that's what happened with Apollo. Apollo Group was my last startup, and we failed in spectacular fashion. We failed to pay investors back and had some hard decisions about whether I was going to declare bankruptcy and start my life over, or not declare bankruptcy and stick around and pay these people back, even if it took a decade. And I decided to do that, and that's been, if I could do it again, I'll be honest with you, I don't know if I would, but now I'm so far in that I have to. And I know that people keep saying that there's always a risk of investment, and I should have just declared bankruptcy and moved on with my life. But when you're a startup, those people are not betting on your business. They're not investing in your business. They're investing in you as a human. And they trusted me when banks wouldn't. They invested in me, and I got them caught up in a terrible situation. And I'm going to make it right, even if it takes a decade of my life. So this podcast is going to talk a lot about that. It's going to talk a lot about the finances, and I'm going to shine light on a lot of things that people don't know about. I'm going to come forward with heavy data, and we're going to have some guests in, and we're just going to talk about startup life, work culture, and things that went wrong and things that could have been prevented from going wrong. And also, we're going to talk about the good times too, because I don't want to act like there weren't really good times at my first startup. And I don't want to act like we weren't a couple little things going differently away from really blowing the lid off of that thing. And having just the business that we had always dreamed of. But dealing with investor loss has been incredibly heavy. Dealing with the narrative, which I am not a big fan of. Like, I've just always believed that if you just put your head down and keep going back to work, the truth will come out. There's this saying that, what is the saying? In business, time is the great revealer of truth. And I've always really leaned into that. Not sure if it worked out for me, but I've leaned into that pretty heavy. And I'm hoping that works out here too. The other heavy part about this whole thing, and probably the heaviest part, the part that keeps me up at night when I wake up at 2 a.m. and I'm just staring at the ceiling, is the fact that I recruited a bunch of people into what was essentially like a borderline cult toxic work environment where we promised people moved states, people quit jobs to work for us, people trusted me as a leader. And I let them down. I brought them into this place that didn't just like fail them professionally, but failed them as humans too. It did the opposite of the things that we said it would do for them. It didn't make them a better person. Instead, it made them jaded towards everything like what we stood for. And that's a real shame because we had the opportunity and the trust of a lot of people, both investors and employees, and just like people in close proximity with the business. That's the thing that literally eats me up at night. And so healing from that has been really tough. I've learned that healing, not only is healing just not performative, healing is a contact sport with the deepest and darkest parts of you. And it's a sport that you play every day. And you play that sport until you get to the point that you just are noticing your emotions, you're noticing the things that go on around with you, and you're processing them. And you have to that's hard, man. That's hard to be that objective. Especially when the evidence sometimes can be fuzzy at best. But yeah, that's what this pod is going to be about. It's about dealing with those emotions, dealing with failure in a business setting. It's going to be about culture and building what a healthy culture actually looks like. And the biggest thing is it's going to be about the mistakes that we made in a startup that had a national spotlight on it. And that's really exciting. So there's going to be a lot more value coming in the next couple episodes. Episode 2 of the Building Blocks series is going to have the three biggest things that I learned while launching my first startup. It's going to talk about the three biggest things that we did wrong. Sorry, that was an emotional 7 minutes for me? I'm thinking about it now. See, not totally healed. But yeah, thanks for tuning in. I hope that y'all tune in again next time. And hopefully this finds the audience that it needs to find, because I know that when I was going through it, when I was living in shitty hotels, living in my car, I just felt so alone. And there was good people who tried to help me. And it was just tough. It was a tough experience. So thanks for tuning in. Season 1, Episode 1, Losing Season, our Building Blocks series. Catch us over on YouTube. Make sure you give us a follow, like, comment, subscribe, all of that good stuff. Talk to y'all soon. It's your thing. Do what you want to do.